Welcome to Breaking Down Walls Season 2 with Barrile and Natalie Kreitmeir.
Hi, Nat.
Jill, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
We're kind of back. We're remixed.
We are remixing. That is very true. I'm very happy to be back now with a lot more purpose than last time.
Yes. So this is your first time, and hopefully it's your first time tuning in. This is the Breaking Down Walls podcast, episode 1, season 1.
Sure. I think that our first season was a rough draft.
Yes. We found that we really loved creating this podcast. If anyone has listened to our first season of the Breaking Down Walls podcast, you may have fallen in love with us. You may have been confused. You may have been confused. You may have just not sure what was going on. And we recognized the desire that we had for that podcast. But we're coming back with a new vision for Breaking Down Walls, with a lot more purpose and centering on like an array of topics, but bringing back the whole idea of like, what do we want to break down? Do we want to build a wall? Do we really want to, be involved with these sort of things that we're going to shed light on, these taboo topics that we're going to shed light on? Is it actually really that taboo? Or is it like, maybe we should just leave that over there behind the wall? And so we're really excited. We're really excited to come back. But we're going to kind of start this as like a fresh project for everybody that maybe is just joining us or is, been with us throughout maybe many of our careers. Who knows? I don't know where you're coming from. We'll find out.
Our many career shifts. We should probably talk about our careers.
Yeah, we should talk about ourselves, who we are, and how we got here. So, Nat, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Natalie Kreitmeir. I have a brand new last name, which I'm very excited about. Just got married. I got married a while ago. I got married a while ago, but I just changed my last name. So pretty excited about that. I am an American coach, yoga teacher, mentor, all the things. I moved to Germany about 3 years ago. So now I live there with my husband. And my background is really in learning how to listen to our bodies, learning how to connect to the innate wisdom of our bodies, and also tapping into the energetics and the spirituality of being a person. I used to be very religious when I was younger. And then I came to this moment of understanding that like dogma is not for me. And I would much rather explore what spirituality and energy just means to me through my own body, my own experiences. And so that has really informed my practice. I also studied psychology in university along with art therapy, which is how I met Jill. And I like to take a very holistic approach of bringing together the wisdom of the body, the science of the nervous system, and also the experience of being a spiritual being, having this energetic sensation of being a human and all that contains. So that's kind of my way of I shouldn't say like my lens of viewing what I do and how I help people. I help people connect to themselves. So I do this by running a yoga studio where I also offer coaching, and I do a bunch of community programs, community circles, things like that. I love collaborating with other people, and I'm just always attempting to show up with alignment and sharing from the heart. But I'm also a little spicy. I also have some spice. And it's like, it's funny because there are people who see that one side of me where it's like, oh yeah, Natalie, she's like the coach and she's the yoga teacher, the mentor, like she's all like peace, love, sunshine. And I am, but I am also fuego. I'm also annoyed at a lot of things. I get frustrated very easily. Like I am just as human and I have just as much of an ego as anybody else. And I think that's what kind of makes me interesting as a person is like, I do feel very connected to the spiritual side. And I recognize that like there's so much beauty to this human experience. And also being a human is hard and it sucks. And there are a lot of things that really rub me wrong. And there's a lot of like discomfort of being a human. And I just really enjoy embracing both of those things. And I'm excited to tap into both of these things as we have these conversations throughout this podcast.
Okay, that felt really good.
What about you?
I mean, I want to say, I love that you're bringing in the human aspect of this all, because I think we do get, I know I personally feel I'm always like, I'm like deeply spiritual, but I'm also deeply like not, I don't know, like I don't align with it every day, or I like work with it, but it's not in a maybe typical outward way of being like that in tune being, I guess. And I think that is where this kind of our relationship and our podcast lies. It's like we are very real and grounded humans, but we are also very connected to source. So we have like this really nice duality, I think, that like keeps us I always think of me and you as like those bridge builders, where like we can sit with the people that are deeply spiritual and deeply grounded, or deeply human, I should say, and like see both. And I think that's I'm excited to, that's why I feel like we're really excited for this podcast. Yeah, like Natalie said, we met in college, so we were assigned to each other divinely, I guess. For freshman year of college, we were college roommates. So they sent us a girl's name and we found each other on Facebook, I think. And we were skeptical of each other at first, but I think like nearly instantly we became close. Like there was no like, maybe there was some judgment. A little bit.
Mean, rightfully so. We each had things that it was rightful for us to judge each other.
And it's very stereotypical surface level, very in that way as a 18-year-old.
Yeah, because I was like a cheerleader. I'm rooming with a cheerleader. Oh no.
Only child, like, she's from New York. Like, who knows what this girl is?
Screwed. And then meanwhile, I was like, do you love God?
Yeah, very first question. And I was a Catholic schoolgirl, so I had a very interesting relationship with God.
For the record, I didn't ask that question. I just said, I love God. But I think it was implied if it was a question, do you love God too?
It made me do exactly what I'm doing now. And I just was like, interesting. This is going to be interesting. Which I think back on and I'm like, wow, I was probably pretty open to this woman. Maybe in that way. I don't know. But anyway, so we met in college. We both went to school for art therapy. So I think like just in that, I was going to say like, just in that that was not a thing when like, it was not a very known thing, I should say, when we were getting into that. I think we both loved humans and like understanding how people work. But we also loved art and like self-expression. And so I think, that particular major like brought in people like me and you, where we're like, we want to help, we want to like do something that's like really impactful, but also like we love to draw and paint and like do weird shit. So I think just in that, as we're going through the Breaking Down Walls podcast, like we already were kind of tapping into like a taboo place, like this really interesting middle ground, which is another bridge I find in our relationship. And we were roommates throughout the whole thing of college, which is pretty impressive, I would say.
I would agree.
We like each other.
We do like each other. And we weren't just roommates. We also like built an entire community together. Like our apartment was always the safe space for people. And we had like this whole little ecosystem of friends that were kind of always like around wherever we were. It was super cool.
Yeah, a lot of women. There was like, at least 12 of us women, and we all got along pretty darn well. And it was really a really special thing. And we just always stayed friends, and we always have been really connected no matter what, and usually going through very similar things. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about this because it's just like, it's a really cool thing when you meet someone that you're so like in alignment with, especially on a friendship level, which is, I think, something we should talk about eventually down the road, of like friendships being soulmates.
100%.
So,
and you've always
back for that.
Camp. Yeah, you've always fallen into that camp for me, because like we can go, I mean, we see each other now maybe once a year if we're lucky in person, but we talk to each other quite regularly. And every time one of us will start the conversation being like, oh my God, I've been dealing with blah, blah, blah. And then every time, or at least 85 to 90% of the time, the other one will be like, me too, I'm going through exactly the same thing.
Yes.
We managed to stay so in sync, even though we are literally an ocean apart. I love it.
Yeah. It's really amazing. I feel very lucky for that. Oh, I can't wait to talk about all of these things with everybody. I'm so pumped for this. So I guess I should say who I am. I'm Jill. We're like 30 minutes in. Who is this girl? I'm Jill. As you know, I went to school for art therapy with Natalie. I live in the States still. And sorry, my phone's going off and it's going to distract me. We're just going to put that over there. And so my business, I've had my business for 9 years now. I'm a photographer. I've been doing photography since we were in college, actually. So like, it's been almost like 16 years, which is crazy.
Wow.
I know. I think that makes me an expert.
It does.
I think after 10 years of anything, but anyway. So I went to school for art therapy too, but I kind of dove more into the photography side while also wanting to help people. And so I kind of based my career off of just wanting to see people and create these memories. And that's kind of like where it started. As it evolved, especially in the last probably 6 years, I work more deeply in the intimacy space. I was always very curious around like sexuality and sensuality, and I started doing boudoir photography, and it was like kind of an interest of mine of like, oh, I like this on a surface level. And as I dove more deeply into it, I'm like, wow, this is actually really healing, and kind of exactly where I feel like I'm meant to sit, of like bridging this. We really get to create images that change the perspective on like how you see yourself. And I think how we see ourselves in the world is a really big deal, because then it shows us like what we are capable of and like what we're able to do. So not even just on a like, I want to feel good in my body, but like, what am I capable of going out and doing as a woman or as a man or as a couple, you know? It also brings like, I'm so fascinated by relationships. I think that's another thing that me and Natalie love. I mean, I feel like we'll have to talk about some reality TV at some point, because I'm obsessed with like some of the dating show stuff, especially knowing after like what I know now. And I just love seeing the relationships between a person and their body. So I have been trained in the Somatica method, which is a sex and intimacy relationship program, a way of coaching. And it's different, I think, than people are like, it's not therapy and it's not like a typical coaching session. It's around being really feeling the experience of talking about your pleasure, your desires. And it's not all about sex. Sometimes it's just about like, what sensations are you feeling, and like, how can we like interpret them? How can we have a better relationship with our bodies in this like more intimate space? I think that just makes us better communicators, not just with our partners, but people in our life. We're able to like get past a lot of the deep emotional stuff that comes up and really see it for what it is as a source. And so, yeah, like I started getting into that once I started doing the boudoir more, and the conversations I was having in that space being so intimate, and just like giving them a place to be creative and like take the to-do list off and all the pressures off. And like what was opening up for these women I was working with was so amazing, that I did this training, and now I do sex and intimacy and relationship coaching, empowerment coaching, whatever that person is really like, you know, whatever that feels like for them. And I love it. I love it so much. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's me.
I love that. I could hear you like talk about what you do all day. It really inspires
Oh.
me. And you get so lit up by it. And it's just like such a joy to see. And I'm really excited to explore more of the sex and intimacy stuff with you because it's such a portal for self-discovery. And it is also still on the taboo end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like mainstream society. So it'll be fun to sort of explore that more. Because I have a general understanding of what you do, but there are bits and pieces of it where, especially when you're talking about pleasure specifically, I'm like, what exactly do you mean by that? And it'll be cool to dive into that in these conversations.
I know. I'm really looking for that. Oh my God. Like, it's going to be great. And that's kind of what this podcast is about. It's starting to shed light on topics that feel taboo or that we have like maybe a preconceived notion about, and deciding like maybe it's not so bad, or maybe it's not what I thought it was, or maybe it is exactly what I thought it was, and like, no, I'm not going there.
Yeah, and I think we should definitely talk about where we got the name from this podcast. Yeah. It started all the way back when we were 18 and we just became friends, and we would stay up late having these deep conversations about who knows what. We were just trying to figure ourselves out. So maybe we would talk about spirituality or gender or like, I don't know, there were so many things. And whenever we would have a breakthrough about something, we would always say, we're just breaking down walls, man. And it was just like, it just became kind of a running joke. Like whenever we changed our minds about something, felt like we had an insight, just felt inspired, like it was always like we're breaking down walls around whatever it was, even if we were feeling blocked about something, and then we were able to coach each other through it, and then it's like, wow, okay, we just broke down another wall. So however many years later, like double that, we're here now. And we thought that that was a really appropriate thing to call our podcast, because we want to break down walls around these taboo topics, or as Jill said, like decide, is that wall warranted? Should we keep a wall? Should we have a boundary around this topic? Is it, you know, maybe actually unsafe? Like it seems unsafe, maybe it actually is. Or is this a topic where we can open a window and stick our head out and be like, I'm curious about this? Or do we need to just break down the wall altogether and make this something that is mainstream and acceptable and just like part of the general acceptance of culture? Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. All my ideas, like as you're talking, I'm like, all the things that we're going to talk about, it's going to be so fun and so interesting. Like we're really trying to not leave anything on the table. Like even topics that we're not 100% familiar with at this point. We have plans to bring in some guests for areas where we don't know about it. And we're going to plan to be doing some research and bringing that to you guys. So, you know, things in the beauty industry that me and Natalie do not have any real understanding of. I have a little bit, probably more being my work, but cultural norms, like me and Natalie both traveled quite a bit, being abroad, and like things that are normal for some places and not for others. We can't wait to talk about that. That's something I think we both feel really passionate about. Sex and desires, spirituality. I was even throwing in there like marriage and elopements, because that's something both me and Natalie did, and not in the traditional way. And so I think that's an interesting topic we could even play around with, that I wrote down as we're talking here.
That makes me feel like we also need to talk about manifestation ceremonies, because you and I both manifested our partners together with a ceremony. Yeah. And then they both walked into our lives like within 6 months of each other.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And they were going to be brothers, but they're not brothers.
I know, but they could be. And
similar looks.
And then, they look similar. And then, and then we both decided to elope and had completely like non-traditional wedding experiences. And there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we want to go into. It's like, we are always set of like, you know, I hear so often people are like, well, that's just what you're supposed to do. And I'm sure a lot of us have heard that throughout our life from our parents, from our friends, or whatever. That's like what we're supposed to do. And I think me and you both have tried to do what we're supposed to do in so many ways. And we're just like, that doesn't work for us. And so, I think it kind of breaks down the barrier for people of like, I actually can do that. Or like, I know that is a possibility, but maybe that doesn't work for me. And I think that is a big purpose of this podcast, is to like say like, you can do it, but that doesn't mean it's for you at the same time.
Yeah, totally. And this goes back to what we were talking about before we hit record, of this big paradigm shift that we're going through collectively. Like, I feel like within the last couple of years, and if you talk to people astrologically, which hopefully we can at some point on this podcast, we have collectively been going through some big shift. And even if you don't believe in astrology, you can see it in culture, you can feel it in the energy. The last 5 years or so have been quite a turning point for us collectively. Things are very different now than they were in 2019, 2018. It's kind of weird to like look back and think of what we were doing back then versus how we are living life right now. Like, artificial intelligence has like really made its way onto the scene, and there's a lot of different cultural shifts that have happened. And so I think that it is important for us to have these conversations and sort of do this work and ask ourselves, now that we're living in this new reality, what has become more accessible for us? What do we get to become now? We don't have to be victims of all these shifts and changes. Everything is moving too fast. We all agree, but we have to accept everything is moving too fast. Now what? Now what are we going to do? How can we use it to our advantage? Because everything is shifting and feeling pretty unstable at the moment, it's like, okay, well, what doors does that open? Which walls does that break down so that we can actually walk through this portal and become something new while all of this like tumultuous like rumblings are happening?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's educating. It's educating all of us, right? Like, at the end of the day. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. So this is our first episode. We just wanted to give a little intro, bring you guys into the process with us. And we'll be dropping this in here like every week, I believe.
Something like that. We can hope for it. Did you want to talk a little bit about censorship today? Because we talked about like, in the past, there's been this feeling like we need to censor ourselves. We need to hold back. And I think that as we've gotten older, I mean, at least for me, I feel like kind of once I hit 35, I was sort of like, you know what? I'm just going to say it, whatever it is. Like, however it lands, it lands. I'm not really responsible for the landing anymore. I'm just going to speak my truth. So I do feel like I have personally gotten less censored, but at the same time, with the digital footprint being forever, there is also that feeling of like, oh, whatever I say is going to be out into the world forever. So I don't know, Jill, how are you like rectifying that with this podcast?
Yeah, as we discussed before, like, you know, our first round of this, there was a little bit of this resistance of like, what do I want to put out in the world? How do I want to say this? How do I want to make sure it like is being heard? And I think both of us at our times, and I think just being a woman, we have censored ourselves through like, you know, being visible on a social platform or like a media platform. And yeah, how is that going to look years from now? Is it something that maybe that's just like a growing curve, you know, at the same time? And really taking this time around to get a little more unfiltered, I think is part of this unraveling that we're doing, this opening that we're creating, is like, why don't we talk about that? Why is it so hush hush? I do think it's getting better, but I think for people like me and you, we have already opened that door, but there are many people that aren't able to have uncensored conversations. And I think it's kind of part of our duty to have them. We have the ability to. Is something going to come back and bite me in the ass one day? Probably. But at the same time, that's a lesson that I get to learn in that moment for that future version of Jill. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to hide things that I was feeling 10 years ago that I don't feel now. Like, I've learned so much. I'm not that person anymore. And, you know, not to hurt anybody. My intention is never to hurt anybody. Being unfiltered, or a little more uncensored is what we were calling it. but I'm best I can be in this moment I am today, and that's okay. And I'm probably going to learn something tomorrow that may change this perspective of who I am now, but it's okay to say it here now and be able to reflect back. It's just like a journal that we get to share. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm going to try to be as honest and truthful with this as I am capable of, you know, and I think that's what we can do, is how honest can we get? And especially when it comes to things that like we're triggered by, or that we feel are, you know, maybe uncomfortable, and just to call it out, like, this is uncomfortable, and that's okay too. So, I'm ready to go there with you.
Perfect. Me too. I think that this is kind of a good place for us to really commit to doing the best we can with what we know in the present moment. And it's like you said, like, we're going to grow and change and learn, that everything that we do and say and create on this podcast is us really doing the best that we can with what we have at that exact moment. And the hope is that we do learn and we do grow, like, right alongside whoever's listening to this. Mm-hmm. And we're using this as like a process and as a conversation tool. Hopefully we do get some really interesting conversations going, and we crack open a few things, and who we are as we're recording this episode is different from who we will be when we get to episode 100. 100%. And we can sort of like really use this as a space to explore and just learn the exploration.
I love that. I love that. I'm very excited for that, to see what's opening up for us as well. Like, you know, and we're doing this kind of in a open space, essentially, for whoever's listening to be a part of that conversation. So
yeah. Cool. Great. All right.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 1. We are excited to be bringing this to you. And if you're excited about it, let us know, comment on these. It's going to be on YouTube, planning to be on Spotify, and a few other places that you can listen to podcasts. But we want to know the topics too that you might be interested to hear about. So feel free to reach out to us. If you feel like you have an interesting perspective on something, give us that too, because we're all about trying to learn perspective. And I think that is also what this is about, is like, how can we adjust our perspective when we're more educated? And I wanted to also say, this is also for entertainment. Like, we are creating this not just as, you know, we want to educate you. We want to give you something that's kind of entertaining to think about. The whole other idea is like, go out and be like, I hope this sparks something for you, that you go out into the world and decide to either have another conversation, get more education around it, or like, you know, like, bring it into your real world, and not just be sitting on the computer all day. That's always my hope for people, to be able to go do that as well.
I love that. Yes.
Oh.
Second everything you said.
Yay. All right. We will see you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.